see in front of you, his name is Sean Spicer, and he's basically in charge of running the RNC election campaigns across the country. I want to cuss this guy out so bad, but I'm trying to refrain from doing that. So I'm just going to say this person has got a big set of testicles. All right. He is basically going to acknowledge the fact that the black vote is depressed in states like Ohio and North Carolina, amongst others. And he basically says, and you will hear it, out of his own mouth, that the Republican ground game has done its job. And he's right, but not in a way that should make him proud, or any Republican proud. I refer you to the fact that North Carolina has put into place various voter suppression laws which were targeted towards black people. And when busted, they did not turn around and do the right thing, i.e., restoring all of the measures that they took to reduce the black vote. They really didn't put into full effect, or hardly any effect, the extra week of early voting in North Carolina. They didn't put into effect Sunday voting. They didn't put it back into effect the full number of early voting sites. They did everything they could in order to depress the black vote. And honestly, they're successful, as the statistics are showing. Same thing in Ohio, though that didn't get the same notoriety. What Ohio did was not necessarily to restrict the number of days, but what they did was to restrict the number of polling places. They took the number of polling places from 18 for the county that encompasses Cleveland, Ohio, down to one. How the hell do 250 to 400,000 people get into and out of a polling place that obviously is not open 24 hours a day? 250,000 people, and let's not even talk about 400, but 250,000 people physically just cannot do it. The lines would be like miles long in order to get that number of people out of one polling place, unless it was a polling place the size of a basketball arena for a college basketball game. And we know that polling places aren't that size. Anyway, here's Sean Spicer pumping up the fact that they have cut into the black vote.
We talk about the blue states that suddenly seem like they might be in play in this. The flip side, though, is we've also been seeing reports, I should say, that African-American turnout may be down in some of the early voting, but also there are some reports out there that Latino participation is higher than it has been, and that raises the question in a state like Arizona, for instance, in a state maybe like Nevada or Colorado. Is that something, when you see the reports of high Latino turnout, does that raise a red flag for you in terms of Donald Trump obviously having a big deficit with that group of voters, signs that maybe they're motivated to participate?
Well, I think all of our tracking shows that they're not exceeding where we thought they were. Again, you look at Nevada, Harry Reid's backyard, a state that he's proud of how he can mobilize folks, a state that Obama carried twice. I think the idea that we're keeping that within the margin of error actually speaks to the larger electorate and the desire for change that's out there. But again, when you look at where they are in those early vote, report after report, they have to do exceptionally well. They led by 450,000 votes in North Carolina alone. They're down. We've cut that lead under 100,000. I mean, 100,000 from where they were in 2012.
And that's a miracle that they've only cut it down by 100,000, given all of the efforts that they've taken in order to restrict blacks from voting in North Carolina. Just 100,000? It should be 2 to 3 times that.
Our early vote returns in all of these states is better than it was in 2012. Theirs is down. I think that's very telling where we're headed. They can't get that Obama coalition. And again, look at where Obama is. He's in North Carolina. He's in Ohio. They know that they are having a big problem maintaining or getting that Obama coalition to turn out for them. It's not going as well as they wanted. They're cherry picking stats and trying to get people not to look at the full picture because they know that Republicans' ground game is doing what it needed to do. And we're excelling at the early vote and the absentee vote where they had to run up a huge lead because Republicans do so well on Election Day.
If you guys are going to win, if you're going to pick off, say, a Pennsylvania or a Colorado, again, one of these sort of last-minute targets here, one of the things we've been seeing in the numbers all year is Donald Trump struggling in a way we have not seen a Republican presidential candidate struggle with white suburbanites, college-educated white voters, talking about, like, the suburbs in Pennsylvania, obviously, very population-dense area, the Denver suburbs. You see this all across the country. No Republican, since the advent of modern polling, has lost this group in a presidential election. Could Donald Trump, and we've seen him trailing with them, could Donald Trump lose that group of voters, white college-educated voters, next Tuesday and still get elected president?
Absolutely. There's nothing conventional about this cycle. I think Donald Trump has defied the odds at every level. But again, let's go back to where we were in 2012, where we are now. Those states that we keep talking about, Nevada, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Virginia, Florida, Ohio, New Hampshire, over and over again, it's Republicans, it's Donald Trump and Mike Pence expanding the map going into states that Obama won twice or are reliably blue states. So, you know, you can cherry pick a demographic and say, hey, he's not doing as well, but the bottom line is more states are in play than ever before, whether it's the 08 cycle or the 12 cycle. Right now, we've continued to expand the map, and Democrats are clearly in defense, both in terms of the time and where they're spending their precious few days, but also their money. They're back up in states like Colorado, Michigan, and Wisconsin, where they had abandoned and said that we had these in the bag. It's that message of change that's putting these things back in play within the margin of error, and all we need to do is, frankly, pick off one of them.
Yeah, and that's the problem, though. I don't really believe that they're going to pick off one of them. And the state that, excuse me, that the Democrats more than likely are going to pick off from the Republicans is Georgia, not Arizona, Georgia. All right, because Georgia also tried to put in voter suppression laws, and they got knocked down, and they got knocked down so early, and the people, for the most part, revolted so strongly that they stopped. And right now, the race in Georgia has Donald Trump ahead by 1 point. If they get that vote out, and I'm talking about the black vote now, out in Georgia, Clinton will flip Georgia. If she flips any of Trump's states, it's over. It's over. So he's talking about trying to flip New Hampshire, which may or may not happen, to be honest with you. They're not flipping Nevada. They can forget about flipping Nevada. I believe Colorado has a huge Hispanic population. I don't think they're going to flip Colorado. Okay, Pennsylvania is like the great white whale for Republicans. They're not flipping Pennsylvania. Now, I do believe that they won't flip Michigan, but they do have a chance of flipping Wisconsin. Okay, the minority of black and Hispanic numbers in Wisconsin are not super large, so they might, and I do say might, have the ability to flip Wisconsin. But in my opinion, that's pretty much the only blue state that they have an opportunity or a chance to flip. But as Mr. Spencer stated, the Republicans have done their groundwork job, i.e., for the Republicans, it's putting laws and conditions in place to restrict the votes of groups that they don't want to vote. So if that calls for creating laws, voter ID laws, reducing the days of early voting, reducing the number of polls, striking people off of the voter polls if they don't quite sign their name like they used to, which is being done in Ohio. That's all. That's what the Republicans call their ground game. Okay, and that's straight out discrimination as far as blacks and other groups are concerned, in order to reduce the number of voters for the opposition so that you can try to stay in power. And I don't think that's going to work. Not this year.